Today we've got a band out of I will say the mid part of more mid to eastern part of the state. They've been around for a little over a decade.
Would you call it the middle of the state?
No, not quite.
Whenever I hear of Midland,
No, not Midland.
Oh,
near Ann Arbor, Ferndale.
fair enough. Okay, we were talking about Midland just recently. That's what threw me off. We'll get to that. We'll get to Midland.
That's right. So we have Black Note Graffiti today. We've got 3 of the members of the band to join us. We've got Gabby. Well, I'll let you guys just introduce yourselves.
Oh, okay. Well, you're about to say Gabby, so I'll go.
Yeah.
My name's Gabby, and I am singer of Black Note Graffiti.
All right.
Ricardo, guitarist and screamer in the background.
Ooh, yeah. Harmonies too, Rick. Quit.
Oh, you. Oh, you.
I know. See, I'm Kris. I just play guitar. I do some screaming too, kind of.
Harmonies, Kris.
Right.
Harmonies. As
Barely.
Lots of vocals.
And who are we who don't we have today that's from the band?
We're missing Kurt because he plays the drums, and Adam plays the bass.
All right.
Holding down that rhythm.
Yeah, kind of the rhythm section is not here. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So do they just not like interviews and you guys do, or did they actually have real stuff going on?
Pretty much.
Yeah, we're like the front of house staff. They're the back end.
Yeah.
Fair.
There you go,
Yeah.
Rick.
I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say there are lots of bands similar to that. There's some guys like, this is not my jam. I don't want to talk about stuff. Or like they have joined and they've been like off camera and just shout out from the back. It's all good. Everybody else got their thing, right?
That's right.
People like stuff. The drummer sometimes he just likes being back there. He doesn't have to like be all showy. He can just hold the beat and do his thing and let you guys worry about the front.
Yeah.
That works. That's cool.
Balance.
Yeah.
So you guys got a lot of stuff, I think, going on here, coming out soon, and we want to dig into that for sure. But maybe give us a little background. You guys have been a band for quite a while, over a decade, right? And curious to hear a little bit of the backstory there of how you guys came together and how you came to be today where you are.
Kris, you should lead this off. You are the founding member.
That's a Kris question.
Yeah. Well, so the other 2 guys that aren't here, the rhythm section, I grew up with. So we kind of started playing together and playing in other bands before. And then we met Ricardo, and he joined the band. And it has.
Where'd you meet him at?
What's that?
Like, where'd you meet him? Like on the street?
It's kind of a cool story. Like,
he was just chilling.
It's a
I
funny
was selling my
story.
wares for cheap in those days, and I wasn't proud of what I was doing to be in a band, but
No,
Thank you for appeasing me.
Well, I knew this musician in Ann Arbor that worked at this coffee shop. That was a cool guy, and
shout
we
out
became
Jimmy Curtis.
friends. What's that?
I said shout out Jimmy Curtis.
Yeah, Jimmy. And I'm like, Jimmy, do you know anybody that plays guitar and sings? He's like, yeah, my buddy. He's really cool. He sings and plays whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he gave me Ricardo's number, and so I called him, and I didn't hear anything for a little while and whatever. And then Rick finally called me. Yeah,
He's one of those guys.
He was doing his due diligence, figuring out who you were, right?
Right. Make him wait a little bit.
I was desperate, Gotta play a little hardball.
Right.
Grease the wheel.
So we got together and started writing and whatever. And so we did a record on our own. We recorded it at our studio where we rehearse and did the mix it and everything there. And then we did another album, and that's when Gabby came into the picture. And then that was
so how did that come about? Like, how did you decide? I mean, did you decide we need another member, or did you decide, or did Gabby come in the picture, and you're like, this is a perfect fit? Like, how'd that work out?
Well, it was one of those things where me and Gabby met online, and it was I thought that it may be cool if we had like a keyboard player, and then it kind of evolved into more than a keyboard player. And then
Say that.
her and Ricardo started singing together, and then it all came to this latest album that we just recorded. So it worked out really cool. So it's this evolution of a band that
So it's not to say that it'll continue evolving as well, right?
absolutely.
If you meet someone later this year that might fit in, trombone player or some crazy
Yeah.
thing. I don't know.
It's possible, unlikely, but
Yeah, fair enough.
it's hard enough to wrangle up 5 people in the same room at the same time.
It's
I'm
hard
sure
to
it is.
wrangle up 2 of us to get
Yeah.
to interview somebody. Like we're all,
Exactly.
we all got jobs, we all got things going on. So yeah, props to you guys.
Yeah. So that's kind of the backstory.
Sweet. So along with that, I'm sure every band hears this question often, I would imagine. So how did the name come about? Was that earlier on? I would imagine it was earlier on the name came about, or how did that Black?
Yeah, I
Note
guess Rick, you can grab this.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
coming up with the name is always a, painstaking process, like pulling teeth from a chicken. I heard the other day. So yeah, I mean, you gotta find that balance of it, like being vague enough for people to make their own interpretation, but also like, it's not too cheesy at the same time. So yeah, something that sound. Yeah, I remember Kris saying that like notes on a page look like some black note graffiti, and yeah, I think the name just kind of stuck.
I think it's a pretty badass name.
That's pretty-
myself. I think it's cool as hell. My opinion.
Especially based on how where you came up with that thought. That's pretty cool.
Yep, it's cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks guys. Well, we'll check you later, and thanks for joining the Mitten Music Podcast.
That was great.
All right.
I apologize. Whatever. Oh, she's too good.
Nice.
She's too good. Whatever.
Rick, I like how you ducked down.
I was pretending there's stairs.
If I try to make it
There's
awkward,
stairs.
I think
usually
I
backfires.
think he's pretty quick-witted here.
these guys caught
Definitely.
me. That was awesome. Okay, sorry. So, anyways, Jeff, continue on. You were. I interrupted with the band name, but we were talking
interrupted.
about the...
We're going back and forth here.
We're just too polite. Michigan.
So you guys you just talked about the new material you got. So what's going on there? I heard there's maybe an album coming out here soon. Is that true?
Yeah, like you said,
Could be.
the evolution of sound. Gabby, you want to continue on with that?
Could be. It could be a conspiracy as well. No. Yeah, there is an album coming out. Can't say the date
Okay.
because we don't have it. But also, this album's cool because honestly, I'm sure the other guys would agree. This is like probably the most collaborative album of all of this combination of people. Yeah, and it's really cool. I feel like what makes a really good band is when each album is like a evolution of the last one, and this one definitely is that of the last one. So it's really cool. So yeah, 10 songs and yeah, fun stuff.
Well, that's a common theme because what I've noticed in your albums, except for there was one, I think it was 11 songs, but it was 10, I think 11, and then you had the double EP. I wanted to kind of ask you guys about that, and that ended up totaling 10 songs, right? So you guys are pretty much on that number a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah, it's just a good number. I don't know. It's like it's long enough to be an album, but it's not short enough to be considered an EP. So it's like a sweet middle.
Right. Yeah.
I can dig that. I dig that. Yeah, makes sense.
So the double EP, I don't know if this is fair to say, double EP, but why did you guys approach it that way? So I've noticed in your discography, you've got volume 1, 2, and 3 was kind of split in those 2 different EPs. Was there any reasoning for that, to split it up into the 2 different?
Well, it's like a COVID thing, partly. So COVID happened right when we were recording, and we did 2 sessions. And so that's why we did the Rise and Fall were the 2 EPs. So that's kind of how it went down.
And also because all the songs on Rise kind of pay some type of subject matter towards like a rise of yourself or like society, and Fall is kind of like the falling of yourself or life. Depressed song.
It's a theme. It's you were trying to call out to that. Yeah, I totally get that for sure.
It's like an
That's
inverse of
Yeah,
itself.
it was a bit prophetic
Oh,
too,
wow.
because we wrote that before the pandemic. So all the songs that kind of attributed to that felt like, I don't know, like we saw it coming.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, but
Yeah.
So who's the lyricist, or who are all the lyricists? Do you guys collaborate on the lyrics? Does someone write the lyrics?
I think originally, like, I was writing a lot of the lyrics, but I feel what's best about this next album is that, like, Gabby definitely stepped up and was like, felt the inspiration to continue writing most of the lyrics, and I think it really paves the way towards like that next echelon that we're trying to reach. Yeah, like I said, and Gabby was being humble earlier. I feel like we really pushed ourselves as musicians in this last album. You could definitely hear the sonic evolution as along with the verbal component as well.
Yeah. I'm always curious about that, especially when there's multi-band members that contribute to lyrics. That's really interesting to me because as a fan, you're listening and you hear the words, and maybe it's a song you listen to over and over, you memorize them, you ingrain, and you like kind of imagine like, oh, what could they be talking about? But it could be a collaboration from multiple people coming up, and it's not a thing about a person or a person talking like a narrative thing. How different lyrics can come on. It could just be a story without any, you don't know where it's coming from, and sometimes that works. It's just lyrics and how they come about has always been interesting to me. So I love hearing that, because that's a little different than a lot of the bands we've been talking to.
Yeah.
It's usually someone does the lyrics or two people will collaborate on
This
the lyrics.
sounds like 50-50,
So, yeah.
I would say.
You think so? Yeah, you think so?
Between Ricardo and Gabby, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was more of an evolution. I think earlier albums, when I was, lead singer, obviously, I would write a lot of the songs and things like that. It definitely fit into that trope that you're talking about. But like, I think as Gabby started coming into her own as our lead singer, I think, that it made more sense for her to write things, in her voice and what she's trying to express. And I feel like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of collaboration between Gabby and I still, but I feel like there's definitely this is like the record where we're like passing the torch, and Gabby's like, taking the lead.
Cool.
So, and we definitely just, as musicians, it's important to push each other, creatively, and not just be stagnant in the way that, you're accustomed to how things are. You just got to keep evolving, keep pushing yourselves and each other. That's when you're in a good band, is you're each pushing each other to be as good as you possibly can be.
Yeah. Well, and I would give kudos to you, because that's somewhat probably difficult. I mean, the fact you were writing the lyrics, you were the lead singer, and then you're able to allow that, like you say, passing the torch, and not let something else stand in the way. If you think that's the best, or it's working out really well, that's pretty cool to be able to do. Because a lot of people, a lot of front men, I will say, or front women will have a hard time with that.
Definitely.
Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some level of ego you got to get over. But I remember hearing Gabby sing one of my songs for the first time, and I just had chills, and I was just like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense, and like, obviously when she first started the band, I was like, is this some sort of covert way to push me out, because like, she's an amazing singer, and I'm like, I can scream, I can feel that, but like, when it comes to the technique and things like that, Gabby's just on a whole nother level. So like, like I said, it was like hearing her sing, I think it was, what was it? It was on our last EP, but hearing her sing that, like, I literally got chills. I was just like, if there was anybody I could trust, singing the words that I wrote, it's definitely Gabby.
Cool. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, and I would say what also is like a big part of that is that me and Ricardo, outside of music, we're just great friends. Like, we trust each other. We're super cool with each other. And it's like, there's no ego involved, really. And anytime I sing Rick's lyrics, I feel honestly honored, because they're crazy good. And I aspire to be just as good as lyricist as he is, because it's really good stuff. Whenever I have something and Rick's like, oh, that sounds good, I'm like, oh, yes, cool.
It is kind of like a family. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but the dynamics, when you have that kind of respect for each other, and you can evolve and be able to move forward as a band and individuals, I think that I feel lucky to be involved with people like that, especially in music, because this kind of stuff happens and bands break up. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But we didn't break up. We got better. and we kept going. And this next record is the best record I've ever been a part of. So I'm pretty proud of it. It's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we kind of hit on the next record a few times, and I earlier said something about Midland. Was I putting the pieces together as we were technically difficulty straightening things up? You guys recorded your last album in Midland, correct?
Yeah, which is really weird that you would record there, but there's a really great producer there.
It did sound. I mean, I don't want to say random, but I just hadn't heard of anybody like, yeah, we recorded in Midland. Like, cool. What's out there? Who is it? Like, what was the place you recorded at? Who is this guy? Tell me about him, or he, she, them, whatever.
Go ahead, Gabby.
Me?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, we recorded with Josh. Freaking
Schroeder.
awesome. I mean, Schroeder.
Schroeder.
It was a great experience. It was super cool. And I think it's like, what is it? Out of his basement is like a whole separate studio thing going on. It's really cool.
The studio's in his house. He lives in the top.
House.
Studio's in the basement.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a legit studio. Like, was it a house or was it a building that he lived in, or was it a studio in a house?
It's a house.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It was super nice.
Like it.
Well, super.
Yeah, it was a great experience because, I mean, he's a great producer because he's the perfect amount of hands-on and hands-off, which is, I think, what a lot of people like look for when they look for an engineer, and he's the perfect amount of it. And every Friday, his wife makes cookies, which is great. So
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Cookie Fridays. So. I was recording every Friday. Just let you know.
How much time did you spend there recording the
A
album?
month.
Yeah.
Ooh, so there were some trips. I mean, you didn't stay there for a month, did you?
On and off. We had kind of an extended
Whoa.
stay hotel.
Cool. So you were like legit there and camped out and like doing like every day working at it for the length of time you were there. Yeah, cool. I like that. That's sweet.
We would like take shifts, so who would stay for a week and who would go back or a few days, and just kind of rotate it out.
Yeah, Josh is originally from Canada, like in the middle of nowhere, but he's a musician too. So when a producer's also a musician, it definitely it makes it better because you can relate. And it's just having discussions with him. Growing up in Canada in the middle of nowhere, when you have limited equipment, using what you have to create good music is not easy. So I think that the compression of his life created the producer that he is. And it's really strange, so what he could do is take the equipment that we had and we like the guitars we like or pedals that we liked or amps that we liked, and push that equipment for each sound of each musician. And he would push us and peak everything to the maximum on every track of all the musicians. Drums, amps, guitars, everything. So that's what he was like. We never worked with anybody like that. That was pretty amazing. That was cool that way.
That's cool.
That was the difference with him.
I like the use of the word compression because that works on many levels when you're recording music. So that's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a really great guy, and he's definitely a talented producer.
Very
cool.
How did you guys get connected with him?
Well, me and Gabby both recognized a couple of other artists that we liked that he produced. So we just happened to have a conversation about it off the cuff. And we're like, what? You know who that is? Oh, that's crazy. And so I talked to his manager at the time, and his manager's like, oh, no, he's not going to take any more artists, whatever. So I just called him directly or emailed him directly.
That's awesome.
No. If you're going to tell me no, I'm going to do it. So he responded, and he was really cool. So we worked it out.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Sometimes you just got to go right to the source.
Kris is great at making things happen. So, every band needs a Kris in it who's just like, hustling. Kris is the hardest hustling member in the band for sure. He's the one who's setting up all our great shows, getting us with the great contacts, and just he's doing all the hard work behind the scenes. And we're so grateful for that.
But speaking of shows, kind of jump into a different topic. Just saw today. Now, obviously, this will post a little later, but you guys are playing. Is it Havoc Fest in Ann Arbor? That was just announced in August. Is that right?
Yeah, Havoc Fest in Jackson.
Jackson. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a new festival. It's the first year.
I was going to say, I have not heard of... I feel like we've talked about so many festivals, like in the summertime on the show. Havoc Fest, that's one that would skyrocket to the top of my wanting to talk about, just because the name's badass, right?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I never heard of it either until we played, like, or announced it. A lot of these festivals I never hear of it until we're invited. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Whoa, okay, that's actually pretty sweet. Oh, okay.
So Havoc Fest, this is the first year this year. Any idea how many bands are going to be there, or how is it a weekend? I'm maybe a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing.
Yeah, it's August. Is it 25th and 26th? I think.
Yeah, it's like 2 days. A bunch of bands.
Yeah,
Cool.
Kitty is the headliner on Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So
I haven't listened to Kitty in a while, but that's some good stuff.
yeah, they got back together last year.
Yeah, they're having a resurgence.
Cool. So Jeff, I have a feeling that will be on our calendar, or at least I will be marking that in August, end of August, to head out to Havoc Fest. Is it Havoc Fest or just Havoc?
I think it's Havoc Fest.
Yeah.
Havoc Fest.
Maybe you got to wait for.
Got to have the
media.
fest in there.
Well, yeah, and you wait for social media to take on, and then people just start calling it something. Maybe it's just Havoc. Havoc. Yeah, we're playing Havoc, yo.
Black Note Graffiti's going to cause some havoc.
Hell yeah, they are. It's gonna be sweet. Cool. That's awesome. I'm excited already. Why did we start talking about that now? I'm depressed. It's got a long ways to go.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool because there's Upheaval and there's Havoc. Mm-hmm. There's Michigan Metal Fest. I mean, there's Riff Fest, but there's really not a lot. I'm surprised there's not more
Of the harder rock style.
in Detroit. But yeah, so Lansing, Grand Rapids. But I'm glad that's here and those are going down because there's some big acts coming through. It's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Because you guys played in, I mean, not that it's anywhere near Detroit, but Oscoda Fest last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, last 3 years.
Yep. Oh, you played them last 3 years. Awesome.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah.
You've gotten kind of a repertoire over there with anybody where it like you kind of know you're going to be playing it again, or do you have to ask, or do they ask you, hey, you guys want to play, or is it kind of like we just do this every year? I don't know how that
We actually
works.
just kind of show up the day of the festival and we're like, "Can we play?" And they're like, yeah, we can squeeze you in around 10-ish.
Hey, if that's all it takes, then why not? That's even easier. Heck, buskers. We got some buskers at the festivals. That's awesome. Well, we need to make it so they are asking Black Note Graffiti, like, hey, you guys are coming back next year,
They're
right?
festival crashers.
Yeah. Ooh, Festival Crashers.
There
I
you
like
go.
Basically, yep.
It's a good song title, too. Festival Crashers.
Talking about playing places, what are some of the places that you guys like to play? I think you guys have toured throughout the state. I mean, throughout the country. What are some of your favorite places to play in the state, and then where have you been across the country that you guys really enjoyed?
Well, we played Austin a few times.
Austin's great.
That would be
yeah.
cool.
And Toronto. That's a great city.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would
the
say
Bovine. I
oh,
was
hey,
gonna
okay.
say the Bovine Sex Club is my favorite place to play. That's in Toronto.
Where's that?
It's like
That's in
It's
Toronto?
like kind of a dive punk bar in Toronto on Queen Street,
Okay.
and we've had some really good shows there, and had some wild times. Definitely some wild times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called the Bovine Sex
At
Club.
the-
You have to kind of
Oh,
a wild time.
For a second, I thought it was called the Sex Dungeon, the Boovie Sex Dungeon. What was it called? Yeah. I
Bovine
got you,
Sex
though.
Club.
Bovine Sex Club, where no sex happens except through
Yeah.
instruments.
We do penetrate your ears, though.
Oh,
Yes! That was good.
There he is again. That wit.
Do you have kids? Because that was an excellent
Thank you.
dad joke.
Yes. No, I majored in dad jokes growing up. Okay.
Well, you are if you ever do have kids, you're ready to rock, man.
Right.
Yeah, professional.
That was good.
I would say my favorite places. I mean, I really like the festivals because it's just so much all happening all at once so fast, and it's over, and then you gotta go to work on Monday, then you get all depressed. So, but on the weekends though,
Yep.
it's super cool because when we play Miles of
Oh,
Music, I think it's what we play like 2-ish shows a day or something like that, and it's just really
Wow.
fun. When we played South by Southwest, that was fun too. We play like I think like 3 shows in like one day. You just like
Wow.
play somewhere, you grab all your stuff, you roll it through all these people on 6th Street, then you set it up, then you play somewhere else. You take your stuff, you roll it somewhere else, and then you're playing like till like what, like whatever time at night. So it's really fun. It's a lot going on.
That's
It's an adrenaline rush for sure.
Yeah,
South by Southwest would be pretty freaking sweet. I've never been there myself. I know about it. I've heard about it. I watched many videos. I love South by Southwest.
It's awesome.
All
You
the
gotta
stuff
go.
they do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
bucket list for sure.
I hope you guys can play there again.
Yeah, you gotta
it's
go,
worth going once, definitely.
Perfect.
at least.
Perfect. I like hearing that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's a lot of people in the streets like doing their podcast. A lot of musicians like didn't.
Yeah, you guys should go there and do it.
Yeah, you just go on the
You
streets.
could
and just
cover
record.
Michigan
That was
bands. It
perfect.
would be awesome.
That would be
Yeah.
badass. I like it.
Yeah.
We've talked about doing the festivals here in the state,
Yep.
but we never even thought about going down to
Yeah.
Yeah,
down there.
it's
Yeah.
very common. You see mics and instruments and people and dancers and random stuff. It's crazy. It's kind of weird.
I've seen lots of bands that go there. Not lots. I've seen a few bands that will record like an acoustic set of some kind, like in a van or a truck, and they're recording it for like, YouTube for like a music. Like some of them are so well produced sounding, and the video is fine. Like they just have one camera. It's in the back of a van or whatever, or a camper. But they basically create music videos out of it for some of their songs because they're at South by Southwest, and I'm just kind of blown away at all the gear that's out there to make these things happen, and just seeing a band crammed in the back of a freaking car, all tied up, like, playing the
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
The
I've
drummer's
seen those
doing his
too.
thing.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. It's like they're just doing anything they can do because they're there to, make the moment happen and like do their thing. I love it.
Yeah, it's electric. I mean, you walk down it's on the Dirty Sixth Street, is where the big majority of stuff happens, and it's like, you take a few steps, you hear hip hop, and then you take a few more, you hear like indie rock, and then the next is country, and it's just like a cacophony of sound, but like everyone's doing their thing, everyone's supporting, everyone's either going to play a show or going to see a show, and it's just like it's electric, and the food is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Barbecue.
Stoves.
Heck yeah. I had another question related to that, but it lost me. So go ahead.
I got one.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So talking about like the different genres there you were just mentioning, what are some of your guys' influences into? I guess you guys kind of even I think call yourselves. I mean, it's always hard to. We don't really like to pigeonhole, but you got to somehow give people an idea what kind of music you're talking about. So I think you guys say progressive rock with alternative. I mean, I think it's just flat out good hard rock. But what are your influences to kind of build into that type, making that type of music?
Okay, I'll go. Well, some of my influences clearly are rock, and I really like metal, of course. I'm also really heavily into jazz, and I'm heavily into electronic music. I would say those are my two favorite genres: is jazz and electronic IDM music.
Nice. That's quite a broad variety. I like that.
Name a couple of your favorite electronic artists.
Machine Drum, Square Pusher, Alltecker, Floating Points. Those are my top four for sure.
Square Pusher is probably in my top 10 for
Yeah,
sure.
totally.
So we're on we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
For sure. I dig that stuff. That's awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
Heck yeah. What about you, Kris?
It's weird. When I was younger, I've been through all the rock thing, the grunge thing. I mean, that's the best era. I think the 90s were the best for rock music. Obviously the 60s with Sabbath and all that stuff was breakthrough. But now I'm like, I love reggae. It's
Wow,
weird.
really?
I don't like to listen to the genre that I play. It's strange. But that's just me evolving as a human, I guess. I don't know. It's just that I don't know if it's evolving, but that's just what I do.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever.
But if you think about like who's a famous art or author, I don't know, C.S. Lewis comes to mind. Like, do you think C.S. Lewis was like reading other people? Well, I take it maybe this was the wrong way to go. Like, do you think he was reading other people's books and being like, it's too much to my style? Or like maybe he would pick the books he read because they weren't what he wrote.
I haven't,
but
I mean, I could definitely.
Who knows?
I could see that though, because I guess if you're making that music, that sound, I get you could get some influences and maybe you'd hear something new that you'd want to play in. But I also could see wanting to listen to something different because you're in it. That's what you make. That's your art, right? And I want to listen to something else that's music, but it's different.
I've also heard artists say that they don't listen to music, period, because I've heard of one artist say this.
I've heard that
they don't
too.
listen to music. They don't listen to music at all because they don't want it to infiltrate what they would like to create, and they want it to be pure and not have to rely or pull from anything else. But I mean, I can see that. Hey, if you want to do that, that's cool. But you got to be listening.
That's a crazy notion.
Exactly. Like
insane.
I can respect it, but I wouldn't do that if I were making music myself. I would be listening to stuff and pulling from all the things through my life, and I would have a sound, I feel, by the time I wanted to create it, and it would just be a pulling of all the things, right?
Yeah. So many genres are influenced by so many other genres.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can listen to any genre and be like, okay, that sounds like this. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Ricardo, what about you?
Yeah.
You didn't
I
answer
did.
yet.
No, yeah. I'm a Gwen Stefani fan, like post No Doubt. I think that you can really. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, I'm like
because it was obviously it was No Doubt phase.
I would have believed anything
because No Doubt was awesome.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S. No, I think
we would have supported you either way.
Right.
For sure.
I have a pop problem. No, I really like I'm like the hardcore punk kid, so I was like into like Fugazi and Rites of Spring and At the Drive-In and things like that. So growing up, and that definitely
Suicide Machines.
Yeah, Suicide
Are they in there?
I actually opened up for the Suicide Machines back when they were Jack Kevorkian and the Suicide Machines.
That was like early
the
90s,
Token
dude.
Lounge,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Kevorkian.
Oh, the Token Lounge.
I don't know
What?
if that's still around, but yeah. I remember, yeah.
I
was
am
like right out.
This was the most mind-blowing thing I've heard all week, dude. Are you kidding
this
me?
Was like
that is some
original
badass
lineup
stuff.
Before they all went, different ways and stuff.
I can't believe you knew who they were. B, you knew they were originally Jack Kevorkian in the Suicide
Battle
Machines.
Hymns was like definitely one of the most influential, the most influential of their records for me. So
that just got me excited, dude. That's cool. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate
right back at you. Yeah, no, growing up,
that was a big
they're
high
great.
five.
They were super cool dudes and always just down to earth and just always brought a shit ton of people out. So I'd never seen the Token Lounge as packed as it was that night, but I remember we each got still paid $1 for each person we brought in the door. So those are the days.
That's awesome. That's cool. And it just hit me. Were they from Detroit? Were they a Detroit band, or am I?
They might be.
Some of the members are from Detroit. Some were from Sterling Heights.
Okay.
Those are the guys I knew.
So they were in Michigan.
Well, it makes sense if they went by Jack Kevorkian,
right.
Originally.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's something we'll talk about later another time. Because I totally forgot that a relation to Michigan, so we can just talk about that band more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been looking for some records by them for quite a while, and they're hard to come by.
Yeah, you don't see them too often, but I'm surprised they haven't had their resurgence yet. If they're about to.
Did you just say they're about to?
No, they're about due.
Because
they're about due.
I was like, do you know something?
Okay,
but they are. You're right.
You
know what? I'm gonna hit them up, and we're gonna make something happen for. I'm gonna beg them to get back together.
That'd be great.
If they're not doing something already. Anyways, that was the Suicide Machines. If anyone didn't know,
brief history.
I love them.
Brief history.
Yes. Where were we? Jeff, take it away. Are we done? Did we finish?
No. So outside of the Havoc Fest, what else you guys got? You guys got anything else lined up this year? And I was trying to figure out how often do you guys go play? Typically,
we're playing the Corktown Music Festival, which is basically like 5 or 6 bars in Corktown in Detroit. That's coming up. We've never done it. It's going to be probably party. I would assume.
Yeah, it'd be
You
a
know,
fun time.
there's a lot of
It
bands
sounds like
in
it.
the same area, so I'm sure it's going to be
Yeah.
cool.
And we got Burnfest, right, at the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do an annual show at the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, and that's coming up too in June.
Okay.
Blind Pig comes up often.
Hash Bash? Are we playing Hash Bash?
Hash Bash, Hash Bash. It's funny you bring that up, Gabby. They were denied the permit for music.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
We were
Even though they've
a
had it
headline band,
previously.
and the city denied them.
That's interesting. Like I've never heard of that before. Like
Especially
you don't get the music permit.
That's an Ann Arbor thing
Yeah,
too, isn't it?
I can't even
From my
imagine
calendar.
Hash Bash without music.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a core tenet of that.
Yeah, that's something must have happened. Like someone was upset about something, right? Like
there's a lot of weed involved.
they've done it
I
previous.
don't know.
But
It's Ann Arbor.
They got that permit to smoke the
Isn't-
weed, but
isn't
Yeah,
Hash Bash
exactly.
in Ann Arbor? Is that correct? Is that something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like they have no problem. They're the spot in Michigan that has zero problem with it, with weed, right?
wait. So if there's gonna be no music, just smoking weed.
no music.
Yeah,
So awkward.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
Better
tough.
than what
So much like terror. That's just silently.
So much
smoking
like terror.
weed.
can people just bring their boom boxes out and
Yeah,
start
that's-
jamming or what?
Well, who's gonna stop them?
it's just gonna be vendors, and
Oh,
it's kind of
that's
A lot of weird whispering.
yeah. We played it. Before
Exactly,
Gabby was in
they
the
had it
band. We played it once before, and it was
That's a bummer.
pretty crazy.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys played it in the snow. Like I saw the
was
picture.
snowing.
Like, it was literally snowing.
It's the first weekend. It's the first Saturday of April, and
Okay.
it was started when John Sinclair got busted with 2 joints in Ann Arbor, who is the head of the White Panthers, who was the manager of MC5, and they gave him 10 years for 2 joints. And John Lennon came to Chrysler Arena and did a fundraiser to get him out of jail. And that was the first Hash Bash was for John Sinclair, because they changed the law in Ann Arbor, and people were pissed. And he got 10 years for 2 joints, and they got him out of jail. And then ever since then, it was like, I don't know, 68 or something, 65. They do the Hash Bash every year, but now it's legal. So we kind of won the battle.
right. Look how far we've come.
Yeah.
Two joints.
And John Sinclair is still alive, and he's a radio DJ.
Oh, that's
Yeah, look him up. He's
any idea what city he might be in?
he's like in
DJing?
New Orleans and somewhere else, but he's got a dispensary in Detroit too.
That's so. Yeah, I was gonna say
Interesting.
that. Not. I mean, obviously his history ties him to Michigan, but just the fact that's even another. That's cool. Yeah, we'll check that out.
Yeah, he was the manager of MC5.
like that.
MC5 lived on Hill Street in Ann Arbor. The house is still there, and the backstory of MC5, which Wayne Kramer just died 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Did not
Guitar
know.
I
player.
didn't hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah, kick out the
Thanks for
jams.
sharing.
Dang, Chris, you
Yeah,
got all the
TED Talk
news.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm in Ann Arbor.
TED
I know
Talk.
all the Ann Arbor people. And I love this town. It's got it.
We could use a third host on the Mint Music podcast.
Yeah, like you got all the news updates in the music world.
Yep, that's
Hey, you guys gonna play the Ark?
probably
I
not.
would love to
Just
destroy
joking.
the Ark with our music.
It's a great venue though.
It is a
really
cool venue, but I was just joking. I didn't think you guys were the.
We could do it.
quite the fit for them.
I mean, a lot of this stuff. Some of the songs that Gabby and Rick are doing. I mean, they're doing. Some of the stuff is really pretty mellow, and then we kind of build up. They do harmonies, and then build it up into this rock opera. Not quite. I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean.
But it's no, we know what you mean. We know
Yeah,
what you mean,
so
for sure.
we could do a show
sense.
like that,
But we choose not
Pretty
to.
interesting.
but exactly.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Choice.
I mean, I think it's interesting, Rick. You talk about how when you're talking about singing, like you're screaming. I don't attribute the way your vocals are to screaming. So there's different bands that like that's their. It's part of the sound, right? They intentionally have and maybe it's yelling or screaming, but no, I would not say you're screaming.
Well, thank you.
So,
Appreciate
anyway,
it.
if that's any consolation, I don't
No,
know.
I mean, there's a cool
does it
dynamic
well.
between what Gabby and I are able to do. I think Gabby definitely challenges me to sing more and now in key. But I know.
Here we go.
Again. No, but she's really pushed me as a musician to like, find that balance of like, not just once again leaning on what you're accustomed to doing, but pushing yourself, to be more.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome of you to eat. I don't want to say admit that, but say that. That's super.
Yeah,
cool.
I feel like everybody, no matter
awesome.
what
I
you
like
do,
that.
it's easy to get comfortable. So I think it's important to just like keep pushing yourself to like, look at things a different way. And that's definitely what Gabby brought along to the band, I think. And
Good job, Gabby.
She really pushed us. I mean, you hear the first record and now listen to this new record. We've come a long way, and it feels good.
Yeah, it's interesting because on this new record, I'm doing a lot of screaming and singing now.
Yeah,
it's like we're both like me and Rick are just like in the studio, both out of breath now.
Yeah, I'm getting excited.
Yeah, I'm singing more. She's screaming
now,
more.
I don't know if you guys can give us any insight into the name, but are you going to go with the similar theme of the volumes, or are you guys going to break from that?
Nope, no volumes. It's gone.
We're going to break from that. We don't know yet. We don't have an album title yet, but we do have a single. And we might as well just say it. We did sign a deal with a company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to say who it was. That's awesome. That's
awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
that's
sweet.
We have somebody who's going to release the album, and so it's going to be cool. It's going to be good. And we just shot a video on last Saturday in Detroit with a
wombat
who is
with a wombat.
Yeah, we wombat.
Like how? What?
You got to look him up. He's amazing. I mean, he's worked with some amazing artists. He's really talented.
Wombat.
We did a photo shoot and a video with him, and he's going to do the first single for the record too.
Sweet. Ooh,
That's
this
awesome.
is getting juicy.
There's a lot going.
Yeah.
It's good.
Moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we're working behind the scenes.
Good job, guys. That's stuff. That's not like you got to have some funds to do this kind of stuff. Like, good job. However, you're saving up
funds
cash,
and funds. Funds,
yeah, funds and fun. Yeah.
Now that's a dad joke.
That was terrible. You're right. I'm sorry.
I mean, you guys have caught other attention earlier in your career, though, too, right? So I think I've seen where you guys have some of your music's been played in some film or shows, right?
We've had some stuff on TV and movies and stuff like that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Huh.
Was that just like how does that process work? Do they reach out? They catch your ear that song and they're like, "Hey, this I think fits."
Yeah, just backing tracks and stuff like that for TV and movies. And
okay,
just submissions to different things like that. And there's every TV show and every movie has a music person, producer for that. And so getting that music to the right person at the right time for the right thing.
Right.
I mean, the fact that you're not saying what shows your music's on makes me think it's like a CW show, like I don't know, like Superman. Like what's a CW show? Like some. Now I'm going to say it, and it's going to be. I'm going to guess it right on, and I'm going to call it some dork show or something.
Smallville.
Exactly. Like were you on Smallville? Perfect.
Some TV stuff.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Good
Awesome.
job, Gabby. That Smallville is what I had in my head. Like, but what show could I go? Just because I want to hear something. What show was it on?
We had some.
Name a one or two of them.
We had two shows for like football, and then we also had NASCAR.
Okay.
Yeah.
NASCAR.
That fits pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
There's several, but it's just small parts.
Fair.
It adds up.
Hey.
I read you.
You get like 4 bars. And
Right.
That also makes sense too.
It goes.
It's not like they're playing the whole
time
song.
segments, so if it's over a certain, if it's over 30 seconds, it's a lot more money. So they
Okay,
cut
fair
the
enough.
band.
So they're cutting the corners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll have a lot of bands that are 20 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds. So if
Oh,
you go over a minute,
that's
it's a lot
ridiculous.
more.
That
That's-
makes sense.
No,
I got you.
no,
I got
It's
you.
like a drum fill, and that's about it.
But that's our drum.
that makes me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Positive
As
attitude.
many like it, but this one's ours.
Hey,
Yeah.
you can call it out and say that's ours.
Right,
Right.
that's something.
So that is kind of. You know what? That kind of makes me a little upset.
Right, yeah.
Come on.
Like artists
Pay
deserve
the 2 minutes, or
Yes,
even if you're gonna fill 2-3 minutes,
agree,
like pay
I
it for the
agree.
one band.
Yeah,
like,
I
come
agree.
on.
We're so much cheaper than the major bands.
Yeah, right. And you sound just as
Thank you.
good.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear this new album for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the progression. When you guys, we haven't really talked about this today, and we talked about where you play or where you're going to play, but how is your live performance sets? Like, what do you guys, I don't want to get into too much of, I mean, obviously you're going to play whatever you guys got in your mix, but do you like to play a shorter, like a hour-long set, hour and a half? What's that kind of like? And then do you mix in a lot of covers, or is it mostly all 100% yours? I mean, I know you guys covered White Rabbit on your last album or last EP, one of your last EPs, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we prefer the longer.
I guess what to expect.
45-minute.
What to expect
way
from the
more
live
answer
performance?
this.
What do they? What should people expect from a live performance? That's what I maybe.
Not
should
even
be loud.
originals.
Mainly many covers at all? Do you guys do many covers?
We do. We have we do Fugazi cover live that we don't have recorded.
Waiting Room?
Waiting room. That's always a
sure.
crowd pleaser.
Staple.
Exactly. Back in the day, we tried our hand at doing some Beatles covers and Nirvana covers and things like that.
Oh,
So
cool.
we're open to what we can push ourselves to musically.
Do you have a cover that you guys have all rehearsed already that you have not played live or on an album?
We tried a System of a Down song. We haven't played it live, but we worked on that for a little bit.
Can I ask what song?
Aerials.
Yeah. I could sing in that, guys. Call me up. I will sing on that sucker for sure. I love that. I love that album.
That's a great.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we can move on. I know.
I mean, I love that you guys stick to your originals for the most part. I love that. I'd rather hear originals for the most part. I mean, if I'm gonna go, unless it's a tribute band or something, I want to hear the band's music. But I know that's harder to get people out for that sometimes. But hey, everybody starts somewhere, and they make it. So
Yeah, originals are most preferred, in my opinion. At least I'm sure we all agree too. I don't know. It's just more fun. It's your stuff.
It's your stuff.
The covers are cool because people will be not paying attention. They'll be like, oh, "Wait a minute," and they'll just
I know that one.
slowly start moseying their way towards.
Yeah. That makes sense.
that's true. That could be a hook. Sometimes, depending on where you're playing, if it's a place where a certain percentage of the people there are not there necessarily for the music, unfortunately, that might be a hook to get them in. But other than that, I agree. The originals are the way to. That's what I want to be.
It's a necessary evil.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. Do you guys have anything like coming up in the next in the next month or so? Like whether it's a show or you're fine tuning and like whatever. I don't know. What's coming up in the next month or so in the near future?
We're pretty much planning the release of the first single. So the video is being edited now, and then we'll pick a date for that. And then we've got the Corktown show, which is, when is that? Is that May?
March 3rd.
March 30th. Thank you.
End of March.
Okay.
Fair. That's good. Yeah, that's less than a month away for sure. So you guys are busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shortage.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like is this going to be a busy year for you guys? Like, is there a lot going on or a lot?
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Like, I think once we release the record and the single, I think we'll probably it'll probably pick up. Usually that's how it works.
Yeah. Makes sense. For
Are
sure.
are you guys producing the vinyl, or how's the record coming out?
Probably.
I mean, obviously it'll be digital.
We've done it
Yes,
for the
definitely.
last
That's the-
2 records. We did vinyl.
Yeah.
It does well at our live shows.
Okay, yeah.
Can you get that from your website? I would imagine. Can we hop on your website and get merch and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Perfect, everyone. I will only. We'll get to that at the end. You can drop us the places we need to hit at the end to make sure everybody knows. But I will be checking that
Sweet.
out. That's cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, did you have any? I feel like we kind of encompassed quite a bit here,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I was going to open it up to them and say,
Yeah.
is there anything that we didn't cover that you guys really wanted
I
to
like that question.
really
That's
want to hit on today?
good question.
Anything that everybody should know, or a story, a cool story, whatever.
Or tell us to screw off. It's fine too.
Oh, okay.
Gabby's in
Me
that
and Gabby
camp.
would be good friends.
It's like any cool story, because you brought up C.S. Lewis. I don't know if you know about the story about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien challenging.
I do not, and I'm not surprised that there's a story relating to that. Do you know?
So
one?
yes, I do, and I have a whole backstory. I don't know if these other two have heard it before. So
Ooh.
so my friend Jimmy Curtis was having a let's say St. Patrick's Day party, and I brought a pretty girl sitting on the porch. Was 2 guys. One is a history professor at U of M. The other is some random guy who I knew, and they're talking about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and they challenged each other to write the best story ever, and that's how The Hobbit came to be, and that's how The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe came to be. Yes,
What?
and so you can look this up. This is factually true.
That's cool.
So we were
That's
talking
cool.
about this, and this one guy said, no, that can't be true. And the other guy's like, no, it is. He's like, no, it's not true. And he stands up and just smacks the guy so hard that his glasses come flying off. And at this point, I say to my, friend, do you want to go upstairs and see my friend's apartment? She's like, yeah. And so we decide to leave. And then a few minutes later, we hear tussling and then sirens. And so we go downstairs. One guy's lying down bleeding, and the other guy had run off into the night, and they had called the police, and obviously they took their story. How did this happen? And this all happened because of a dispute between whether or not, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien even knew each other. And so a few weeks later, my friend Jimmy walks by. I was, living around the corner or working around the corner from his house, and he's like, "We made The Guardian." Apparently, The Guardian, the British newspaper, had picked up on the story and published it in their periodical. So yeah, there's a little story about C.S. Lewis and Tolkien.
So did they ever figure out really what the truth
So the truth is that they knew each other, but the other guy was just really drunk. Yeah.
That is. I hope we ask this question at every single time we talk to anybody. I don't care who it is, because I love it, and I love that not only was that random as shit, you called back to me when I randomly said C.S. Lewis earlier.
Yes.
I don't even know how that
brought
popped
full
in my
circle.
head.
Full circle.
That
Jimmy was involved as well, who connected him to Kris. It's amazing.
And that made my.
And that's how you do a segue, folks. That's how you do a segue.
That
was good, Rick.
You've learned something.
That was good.
You've learned something.
I've never heard
Awesome. That was cool. I have never heard it either. On top of it, I've never heard that story. That's great. Thank you,
Of course.
Ricardo. That was
That was
beautiful.
amazing.
Do what I can.
You do what you can, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. Good job.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you guys got coming out soon, and send it over. When you guys got that single coming out, shoot it over to us. We definitely want to check it out and push it out on the weekly playlist.
Let's talk again too. I'm guessing we are going to hit you up at some point live this year. But yeah, if for some it doesn't happen, we'll reach out. We want to connect with you after the album's out and just kind of get your take on how it's going and all that kind of cool stuff.
That'd be cool.
And we'll see you at Havoc Fest.
Any other? What's that?
And
Havoc
we'll see you at
Fest?
Havoc Fest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should come. We'll get you on the list. You could do interviews with the bands.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Working bands.
We've been talking about that. We just haven't engaged with anyone to help us make it happen. But
Sounds like we got an opportunity.
We have yes, we are. We do have an opportunity. I almost said a proponent, but I don't think that was the right term.
No, I don't think it was.
That would be opposition, right? Yeah. Proponent. No, Kris is like, screw these guys. No, they can't come back.
No, if you're into it, just let David know. I'll connect you with the guy booking the thing.
Okay.
Awesome. I think we will reach out for that because we need to do something somewhere, and Havoc Fest is the best place to start, I feel like.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
All right,
Cool.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Where can people find more information about Black Note Graffiti?
The website.
Yes, blacknotegraffiti.com, Instagram, Black Note Graffiti, Facebook, Black Note Graffiti, Twitter, Black Note Graffiti. It's all one word.
Perfect.
And it's the same everywhere you go, which is not always easy to do.
Yes, we know. We have to put the in there sometimes in some social medias. We got to take it out in other ones.
If you put in the, you will get our side project.
So
you won't.
the Black Note. Oh,
no, it's what is it? Brown Note Graffiti is our side alter ego.
Brown Note.
So good you'll shit yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to have kids,
Man.
Ricardo, you gotta have
He's got so many one-liners.
You weren't lying when you said you were a dag joke aficionado.
No, he
That's
definitely is.
Thank you, guys. This was so awesome. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This has been great.